Hello and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. On behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you joined us for our two-day Metals and Mining Conference. Our next presentation is from Myriad Uranium. Please note you may submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings by clicking Book a Meeting in the top toolbar. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Thomas Lamb. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Myriad Uranium, which trades on the OTCQB venture market under the symbol MYRUF and on the CSE under the symbol M. Welcome back, Thomas.
Thanks. It's great to be here. So good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for attending this presentation. Today, I'll walk you through the story behind Myriad Uranium Corp, why our Copper Mountain Uranium Project and Red Basin Project represent some of the most compelling uranium opportunities in North America. And I'll also explain how we're positioned for a strong re-rating in this rapidly evolving uranium market. It's rapidly evolving because of supply and demand issues and also geopolitics and then politics within the United States. I just want to note that there's a prominent uranium analyst that calls Myriad the call option in the United States uranium sector today. I'll repeat that later. I'm going to basically explain to you why that is. Overall, if you believe what we call the uranium thesis, we are one of the companies that's likely to have the biggest share price response to an improving environment. I strongly believe that, and many others do too. So let's begin with the investment thesis. This is a legal page. It just says that, the most important thing you're going to get from this page, or that you should get from this page, is that when I talk about uranium resources and estimates, those were done several decades ago. And so they have to be categorized as historical under our regulations. That's what you should really get out of this. So again, investment thesis. Myriad is one of the best positioned companies in the uranium sector to do very well, and it's for these reasons. So first of all, the uranium market is, broadly speaking, positioned to race upwards. There is a global uranium supply deficit of at least 40 million pounds a year. And there is no near or medium-term solution to this. Long-term, new mines will come on stream eventually. But this deficit does not take into account, this is a current and a projected deficit for many years to come. This projection that I have, that was sort of standard about a year ago, does not take into account big data, artificial intelligence, small modular reactors, and microreactors. All of those are surging. You've seen that in the news. Companies like Microsoft, Google, OpenAI are working feverishly to secure upstream uranium supply. That's a big force in the supply-demand equation, and it makes this sector really exciting right now. The spot price for uranium, this is if you wanted to buy a pound of uranium today, it's otherwise priced by way of long-term contracts. That's a separate issue. The price for that is about $80 a pound. But anyway, the spot price is about $72 a pound, but forecast by many Wall Street banks and analysts to hit at least $135 a pound next year. That's why we're here. This is a very exciting sector right now. So what else? Myriad has, as a company, has very strong attributes. In summary, they're these attributes. Number one, we have a proven, I'm supposed to use that word carefully because of for regulatory reasons. But anyway, a proven historical resource base. It's historical, done estimated decades ago. At Copper Mountain, which is called Copper Mountain, but it's a uranium project in the center of Wyoming, we have 2,000 boreholes or drill holes. Those boreholes validated the major uranium potential of the project. That's a lot of boreholes, covered our key project. They were drilled in the 1970s by Union Pacific Railway. Second, we've recently done chemical assays of our drilling the drilling we did in late 2024. And we've blown everybody away with the results. I'll explain more about this in a few minutes, but basically we have boosted grades by up to 60% versus the standard probe results. And I say standard because when you explore for uranium, you typically drill a hole and you put a probe down, whether it's a gamma probe or a neutron probe. That's what we did in October, November, is we drilled those holes and we put probes down, and we got excellent results. But when we sent the samples for chemical assay, it turns out there's even more uranium in the ground than we thought and that anybody has thought for decades. So as a result, we're now processing 1,500 more samples, and I'll talk more about that in a bit. The Copper Mountain project has simple metallurgy. In the 1970s, they did extensive testing, and they were getting 90 to 95% recoveries using very standard process of leaching. That's an important factor. Another important point is our projects are in two of the very best states and two of the very best states in the U.S. and then two of the best states or two of the best jurisdictions in the world. Wyoming is number one, I would say, in the world as a uranium jurisdiction. Has a very supportive government. Almost all the key companies globally are operating in Wyoming, excepting the Eastern companies like out of China, Kazatomprom, et cetera. But the top Western companies, most of them have operations in Wyoming. Corporately, and in terms of strategy, we are using a very capital-efficient, data-driven approach. This means that to the extent we can, we build as much value as possible relying on historical data and then work we do ourselves efficiently. This is to avoid diluting our shareholders. So again, we leverage historical data, and then on top of this, we leverage the amazing skill and knowledge of our technical staff, in particular our geologist, chief geologist, and QP, we call it under the regulations, George Fundervalt. More on him later. Another thing is we have a dual asset approach. We have Red Basin in New Mexico. This complements our Copper Mountain project, which is our flagship. Finally, and this is almost, well, I don't know, Mother Nature is number one. It's almost as important as Mother Nature, but we have a leadership team that has decades and decades of top-level uranium experience. And then we have capital markets experts who have, and this is including yours truly, who have extensive experience building companies and delivering exits and liquidity events for shareholders. So we've done it before, and we intend to do it here. So I also want to add a point here before I move on, that governments, especially in the US, federal and state, are really at the table, and they are very supportive. Utilities are coming in. They're going to have to move down to secure uranium from the majors down to smaller companies. And then a third point I want to make is that the tech sector is coming in a big way. They're coming in from at a right angle into the uranium sector. They need to secure energy for data centers, et cetera. So we are at a turning point. This is a the inflection point we've all been waiting for, hoping for, and it's even better than we expected, especially because of tech, small modular reactors, et cetera. So this slide talks about our low risk path. I've already said a few things about it. Regarding risk, our company is de-risked for a number of reasons. Number one, Jim Davis, that's who is alluded to in the first section there. Jim Davis is now in his, I believe in his early 90s, but he's an advisor to our company. He's a legendary geologist. He discovered the first uranium mine at our Copper Mountain project in Wyoming in the 1950s. It's called Arrowhead. He went on a few decades later to lead the exploration of our project. Union Pacific Railway spent a vast amount of money at Copper Mountain in the 1970s. He led that exploration. He has intimate knowledge of Copper Mountain, and he's basically an encyclopedia guiding us in how to advance this wonderful project. Also, in terms of risk, I have lived and worked for 15 years in Africa, Russia, to a lesser extent, Latin America. Jurisdictional risk is extremely important. I've been involved in military coups, expropriation in Africa, various things. Wyoming is the best possible jurisdiction on the planet. And also, for those of you who are a little more mining savvy, I'll just comment that Wyoming just permitted an open pit mine. This is a gold project, CK Gold project. This is very exciting because there aren't that many states in the US that have been permitting open pit mines. Wyoming is very mining friendly. So another point about risk, Copper Mountain already has 2,000 boreholes. A lot of smart people have already worked on it over the decades. We have a lot of the data relating to it, and that data provides a roadmap to verify that historical work and to make new discoveries and go well beyond the historical, and we're doing that. Also, in terms of risk, Red Basin, our project in New Mexico, is similar. It's a high-grade near-surface project, and we have 800 out of the 1,050 boreholes that have been drilled in that basin. 800 sit inside of our project areas. We use that as a proxy for where the uranium is. And so we think we've done extremely well in Red Basin. It's a great spot. Here's a picture of some of our team. That's me on the left, our chairman, Simon Clark, in the middle, and our top-notch geologist, George Fundervalt, in the middle, and two of our drill crew on the right. Now, we have a much bigger team than this, especially the technical advisors. Just a few of us here, myself, CEO, I was a corporate lawyer, finance guy. I've started several companies from scratch, Gold Group, M2 Cobalt with Simon Clark. We sold that to Jervois, stayed on as executives. That went up to 1.something billion. We've had other companies we've built and done very well by our investors, and we intend to do that again here. That's George on the bottom left. One thing he did is he worked on the Karoo project in South Africa earlier in his career, and he managed 13,000 boreholes. He's an amazing uranium geologist. Jim Davis is who I spoke about. He discovered the first mine at our site and has supervised, I would call it about 86 million US in current dollar exploration spend at our Copper Mountain project. It's a corporate overview slide, just you can absorb a few of the points here. I want to mention that our cap table, i.e. shareholder list, includes a lot of prominent funds and strategic investors, several of whom did significant deep due diligence in our data room and then chose to invest, and then that other people followed them. So, and we're very pleased that their initial due diligence has been validated, and we've gone well beyond everybody's expectations. There's another point here under ownership. I just want to point out that I am the second largest shareholder on the NOBO list. This is because I have deployed my own capital, over 600,000, probably 650,000 out of my checking account into Myriad stock. And I keep coming in. I'm a big believer in the company. I put my own money in, money where my mouth is, I suppose. A little bit about Wyoming again. This is, you can see where we're located. We're right in the center of the state. Wyoming has the largest uranium reserves in the U.S., and it is, again, the focus of incoming investment. It also has excellent infrastructure. You can see what our project area looks like on the left. I'll speak more to that, but on the right, you can see that we have railway nearby, power, major highways. We're only 20 minutes off a highway on a gravel road. Access is excellent, and the community is definitely behind us. Just want to point out on the map that we have an internal cluster of about, well, 7 deposits. Those are in blue. And the periphery is 15 or so prospects drilled. The prospects less so, maybe 5 to 20 boreholes each. We want to bring those prospects up to deposit category. If we do that, we believe we will take the resource at Copper Mountain from 15 to 30 million pounds, which is a near surface resource at 6 out of the 7 deposits. That's how Union Pacific estimated it, up to 65 million pounds and well beyond, we think. I'll tell you more about the potential in a bit. This is what Copper Mountain looks like. It's a beautiful spot. The mine, the old mines, or 2 old mines at least at Copper Mountain, Cold War era mines. And they're up there straight ahead at the base of those hills. We drilled in October, November. This is a picture from the drilling. It's a beautiful site, as you can see. It's a bit of a timeline. I just want to reiterate that Union Pacific Railway in the 1970s had partnered with, well, I don't know if I've mentioned California Edison, but Union Pacific partnered with California Edison to develop our project into a large-scale uranium mine to fuel California Edison reactors. That was in the 1970s, but the 3 Mile Island incident occurred in 1979, and that shut down the U.S. uranium sector. So today we're picking up where Union Pacific left off. Now, Anaconda was an owner in the 1990s. That got cut off by falling uranium prices, 1997. And then there were 2 owners in the last cycle, 2006, 2012. But we're the first group to unify ownership of Copper Mountain. We're picking up where effectively Union left off, and we have gone way beyond them. This is using better tools, our elite geologist, George Funderwalt, and technology. Yeah, actually, I should mention that Union was very conservative. I'll get into that. It's an extremely important and interesting topic. With their resource estimates and estimates of potential, they relied on something called a DFN probe, delayed fission neutron probe. It was thought to be very accurate, but it turns out it was extremely conservative, just as we hoped. Our work has revealed that the project appears to be much more exciting, much richer in uranium, and with higher grade resources than anybody ever thought. Please look at our recent news releases to understand this. It's a bit of a geology slide for those of you who are interested in this kind of thing. Granite Mountains on the right, this is north. Water, rain, snow, etc., meteoric waters grab the uranium and deposited it at North Canning, which you see on the right-hand side. And there has been other activity, it appears. Further down, deeper than Union ever drilled, we have drilled and we've discovered uranium deeper. And one of the big questions that could blow this, it's already a great project, could turn this into the most exciting project in the US, certainly, is that if there is indeed unconformity related mineralization below these shallow deposits that Union was focused on. If there is, and this was discussed in 2006, 2012 by Neutron Energy, which is now Encore, we may have Athabasca-like mineralization. That would be incredibly exciting. Further to the south on the left, things turn into sandstone. That would be more likely ISR, although we could have ISR in situ recovery to the north. So Copper Mountain progress, I want to skip over the slide. I'll just mention the very bottom next steps. We're waiting for 1,500 samples from the laboratory. The results from those will dictate, because they could reshape our understanding of the scale and grade of the project, reshape our plan. This is George at our core shed in Riverton in Wyoming. Riverton's about an hour and a bit from our project. Access is tremendous. This is what RC samples, reverse circulation drilling samples, look like. Okay, drilling. I'm going to talk about drilling briefly and then probably move on to questions. So the Canning deposit, actually I'm going to go to a map here so you can see. Canning deposit is in the center right. That is the focus. That contains at least half, probably two-thirds of the known near-surface mineralization at Copper Mountain. That's where we drilled. In November, we drilled 34 holes. Historic drilling here is on the left, and our drilling is on the right that we did in November. What we did is we drilled our holes, and we stuck gamma probes down the holes. A little different than the DFN probes used in the 1970s, but same concept, except photons, were detecting photons instead of neutrons. And we got wonderful results. 30 intervals, 1,000 ppm or higher, and some really nice high grades. Actually, with the probe, we got even higher grades. But then we did something really important, something never done before. We sent our samples to the laboratory for chemical assay. So this is fantastic and the most exciting thing. We sent our samples for chemical assay, and the laboratory revealed that we actually have much more uranium than the probe, our probe and the historic DFN probe could ever pick up. For anything over 1,000 ppm, we averaged a 60% grade increase. Anything over 500 ppm, we averaged a 50% grade increase. That is huge. And then, of course, you see at the bottom left there, 200 ppm, 20%. So that in itself, very exciting, is very likely to bring up the average grade, the size of the resource, potential of the project in every way. I have to say very likely because, I'm supposed to use cautious language. But let's see what these 1,500 assays say when they come back from the laboratory. They may show that our intervals, mineralized intervals, are in fact much longer than we have already disclosed in our news releases. They may be longer. They may be higher grade. And in a fascinating, and those of you who understand mining, rock that was considered barren or almost devoid of uranium may in fact have significant uranium in it. The point is that due to disequilibrium, which you can Google, disequilibrium seems to be favoring us strongly. Rock where the uranium that contains uranium that is invisible to the probes seems to have a fair amount of uranium in it. That means that stuff that's below cutoff, was thought to be below cutoff grade, may in fact be above cutoff grade. Instead of having to lift that rock, put it on a dump, we could maybe run it through, process it, and make money from it. Those of you who understand what I'm saying, you understand this potentially transformative. We're anxiously awaiting the results from these 1,500. It's actually about 1,450 samples, 1,500 for round numbers. Another thing we've done is we've drilled deep down to 1,600 feet. You can see one of the holes here that's circled with the oval. We found uranium down there. We're so excited. It may connect to the uranium that Anaconda was looking for. I'm going to go over to here. The far left, there's a prospect called Railroad, which we recently acquired, well, months ago. Anaconda drilled that decades ago and found uranium deep. They made a uranium discovery. We believe, strongly believe, that there's a fault, a deeper fault that runs left to right, east to west, from Railroad across the project area, under Canning. If it's mineralized all the way across, we are really in business. I'm going to go back. Does this uranium below connect to the Railroad mineralization? We're going to find out. As one major CEO of a major told me, who called me after he saw all this, he called me and said, if this holds, this deeper mineralization holds, you've cracked the project wide open. So stay tuned, everybody. Just want to point out something we're going to be doing at the right time as soon as we can, is we're going to go after these prospects to generate exciting new dimensions to this project. For example, Lucky Cliff on the top right. It has a hole that I'm just going to say we're probably just going to go twin. That's 25 meters at 1200 ppm. That's equivalent grade. That is, what is that? Those who want to convert to feet, is it 85 feet? That's a very long intercept, and that's an equivalent grade. If our disequilibrium advantage holds, 60%, that'll take that 1200 ppm up. Is that 1900 ppm? That'd be an amazing intercept. We have lots of great targets. We're going to get to them. Now I should accelerate my talk here to tell you about New Mexico. We have an indicated historical, very nice historical indicated resource in New Mexico, a large inferred resource of 1.5 to 6.5 million pounds, and we have vanadium up to 1.64%. We're excited to bring this resource current. It's an excellent project. This is what it looks like right here. I'm going to just leave the investment thesis slide up again. We have a wonderful company here. As we grow, we know we are going to expand our institutional shareholder base. When you start with a small market cap, you have to grow out of these limitations. Big institutional investors often have market cap minimums. A number of them have come down, say below their 100 million market cap minimums, just because they want a piece of our project. We have some very interesting strategic investors that have decided that we have the potential to be big and very exciting. So, future is bright for Myriad. You can see some upcoming milestones here. We're going to consolidate ownership of Copper Mountain. We're probably going to upgrade our exchange so that it's a lot easier for everybody to trade, and we have very prominent position in the uranium space in the United States. That's to come. So I'm going to look at some questions here. I'm going to leave up the investment thesis slide so those of you who want can look at it. So first question. Thank you to the person who asked it. Question is, are you funded for your upcoming milestones? The answer is partly. We have, as of a week and a half ago, we have what we have to call it working capital, $3.2 million. In working capital, we spend, our burn is about $65,000 a month. That's core burn. So what we spend on top of that, in exploration, et cetera, increases that spend. The short answer is drilling is expensive. If we want to dial up and do a significant drill program, we're going to need more money. If we do a more modest drill program, then we are funded. So we are in good shape in terms of the treasury. Next question. When do you expect results from the 1,500 samples? I just got a message last night. I think within the next week or two or three, we will have the initial results, probably about 1/3 of the samples, and then they will come in batches after that. So we have to apply QA/QC and error correction, et cetera. But we hope to get that news out as soon as we can. I look forward to seeing what it says. Next question. What is something that everybody should know about Myriad? We have big insider ownership and sophisticated technical ownership of Myriad. A lot of the shareholders are retired uranium sector experts. A lot of the shareholders are geologists, geoscientists. They have carefully looked at our project and decided that we're actually very interesting. It's a bit of complexity with Myriad because of it's a complex story, has a big, rich history, but people who've dug into it, they just love it. Another thing I would say is that we are extremely high torque. A lot of people do not want to sell their shares. They want to see what's going to happen, and that is going to enable potentially a lot of torque in this. That means a big share price response when we have our moment. It's very exciting. I keep putting my own money into this, and I've been involved in lots of mining deals. This is just fantastic. Next question, and this is the final question I have on the list at the moment. What are states and the federal government doing to support the uranium industry, speed up permitting, grants, etc.? Well, the state of Wyoming is very supportive. They have a new government there. I'm so delighted. They sent us an email, our management team an email a few weeks ago, and then we followed that up with a group call, a conference call between our company and some representatives of the Wyoming government. Things are different now. Basically, the attitude from the Wyoming government is, what can we do to help you actively and proactively? We absolutely love it as a company, and so do our peers. Everybody's talking about it. Wyoming is going from good to great. And on top of that, the state of Wyoming has some funds available to support exploration, matching funds. For example, you raise money, a few $1 million or $5 million to spend on drilling. If you qualify, state of Wyoming can match that under certain circumstances. Federal government is very active. You've seen executive orders. You've seen policy changes. The attitude is, the perspective is, we need to get uranium production ramped up. One thing I didn't mention, I could go on, of course, for hours about all this, is that the United States produces about 2 million pounds of uranium a year, but consumes between 50 and 60 million pounds. It gets the rest from around the world. That puts the U.S. in a vulnerable position, depending on how you view geopolitics. At any rate, the U.S. government wants to repatriate uranium production. So they are leaning in. We're going to have Department of Defense funding. We are going to have federal government assistance with permitting. There are lots of initiatives to speed up permitting. And I think that we're going to see a fair amount of tax policy that gives credits and assists with the uranium sector. I think even more important, state and federal government support are really important, but even more important is this amazing tech sector, data, AI, big tech, move to the uranium sector. They are now aware and alive to these issues. They need so much power for their future plans. And they're not going to get it from the conventional power. They need nuclear too. They need this big base load. And tech companies relative to the companies in the uranium sector have vast amounts of money. You're going to see that come in from the side and just light up the uranium sector. That's very exciting. Look out. Uranium price is going to move up. If you're inside the U.S. in the top jurisdictions, we're going to have government support, and we're going to have the big tech companies and AI companies coming after us. Exciting times. Please, I'm going to put up a slide here, which has my contact details. I would like to invite people to email me, or even better, send me a WhatsApp at that number. I'd be very happy to speak with you, answer more questions. contact me anytime. Thank you, everybody.